Robin here from Courage to Secure. It's the 16th of June 2024. I'm in Bunbury. We've just wrapped up the No Wind Turbines rally and we are at a location for lunch and a presentation from Pauline Hanson.
Western Australia. Okay, Western Australia, Bunbury. Right. Give me another beer and I'll get it right. So anyway. So we're Western Australia Upper House at the next ticket. So Rod's going to lead the ticket. I'm so proud of this man. Very loyal, very dedicated. He's worked with Colin Ticknell and the Parliament and knows what he's talking about. So get behind Rod. At the next, I don't know where we're going to start. Yeah, look, other things that we did, we got the first MRI machine for Kalgoorlie. That's what One Nation did. So in Western Australia, I was the leading light on getting the GST increase in WA. It wasn't the Liberal Party. It was actually myself in detriment to what was going to happen in my comments back in Queensland. So I had a bit of backlash from it, but I thought what was fair. My judgment is based on what's fair for the whole country, for the people, and I thought it was ridiculous for WA to get 36 cents back in the dollar on the GST. That was nothing that we pushed for. It's been quite interesting, and Rod spoke about some of the policies. Now, it was my first policy, and I'm going back to 1996, about building the railway line between Alice Springs and Darwin. That was my policy in my maiden speech. That was picked up and done. About closing ADSIC, which was a corrupt Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander commission. That was shut down by Howard. That was spoken about me in 1996. It eventually happened. I've been calling out the corruption that's happening within the Aboriginal industry, and I want accountability for the money. They're not going to do it. They haven't done it as yet. Turning back the boats, another one of my comments that I made. Howard did it. He did it. The deporting criminals of 12 months or more. Another one of my policies. Another one that the Libs picked up is about the superannuation scheme, using it from your to buy your first home. That was another one of my policies. Constantly, all the time, they are picking up, as Rod said, the apprenticeship scheme. I spoke to not only Turnbull, Morrison, and at the time, they needed my vote, and I said, right, I want an apprenticeship scheme because I knew it was on the decline. Having run a business with my husband, who was a plumber at the time, we employed apprentices. So anyway, I knew the cost. Apprentices make nothing for businesses in the first and second year. So I said, right, instead of having these kids on a welfare program, pay them 75% of the wage, 50% in the first year, 50% in the second year, 25% the third year. They put out a pilot program. They had to do it because they needed my vote. So I used my vote wisely to make things happen. So they did a program, they put out 1,360 places at a cost of $60 million. That was taken up in 3 weeks. They couldn't believe it. Then they put out another program about 9 months later. They put out for 100,000 apprentices. Can you imagine what this country would be like now if I hadn't pushed that issue? And I spoke to nearly every minister. So a lot of these things that I actually speak to them about is about what I think is right for the country, what we need. Another thing also is that a politician's job is not only representing the people, you have to have vision for the future. The problem that we have now, the politicians don't think beyond when the next election is. So we don't have long term. We've got career politicians. We haven't got people that are there. The same as years ago, councillors. They weren't paid. Councillors actually did it because they wanted to support the communities. Now we have career politicians. That's the problem that we have. And then these politicians won't stand up for the principles and morals. So, look, no doubt that everyone goes in with the right intentions, but because they're with major political parties, they cannot cross the floor. Libs can, sometimes they allow them to do on a conscience vote. Labor, you cannot. And so that is the problem that we have. So when it comes to the vote, the bells ring, and we actually have people there voting, even ministers. I've sat beside them and I said, what are we voting on? I want to clarify a position. I know what we're voting on. I want to clarify a position with them. And they said, oh, we don't know what we're voting on because it's not to do with the portfolio. And that's most of the time with people in Parliament. They don't know what they're voting on. They don't research. They have no idea. When you have a minor party as myself with Malcolm Roberts, we are voting on all bits of legislation. We actually have to research and understand what it's about and then do our research and vote accordingly. And sometimes it's quite difficult to be across it, but that's why we've got great advisors to actually help us. But a lot of times I have to be across that because I can be pulled up on media any time and ask a question, so I have to have a pretty good idea what I'm talking about. What I want to say to you now is that we're coming in dire straits in this nation. Have no doubt about it. It concerns me greatly, and you think, why am I still here? And I was talking to some people about this before. They said, why are you still here? Why are you still doing it? I said, I've been very privileged. If you had have said to me years ago that you would be well known right across the whole country to try and do my shopping, my partner won't come with me anymore. He said, you think you're going to do it in 20 minutes, forget about it. You might look at an hour or two later. He said, people pull me up while I'm doing my shopping. It seems they get me every time in the fruit and veggie aisle. I don't know why. Maybe I'm looking for value and I'm looking for the great product to pick up. But anyway, the fact is that people now are really concerned about where the country is headed. And I kept saying, this isn't the country that I grew up in. And older generations can see it. The young ones have got nothing to relate it to because they don't know. So it's the older generation. But it's great. People said to me before, gee, Pauline, you know, people are now, you've sort of changed a bit over the years. I said, no, I haven't changed. My message hasn't changed. You, the people, have changed. You've actually caught up with me. And that's what I can do. Can I be a bit more diplomatic? Yes, I can. Am I going to be? No, I'm not. I'll leave that up to my daughter if I ever get her into politics. But anyway, or James Ashby, he's a little bit more diplomatic than what I am. I'm too old and I don't intend to change my ways. What I've said has worked for me, so anyway, I'll keep going the way I'm going. What you see is what you get. And I'm not going to, and I don't beat around the bush and I don't think I should. There's plenty of other politicians who do that you won't get it from me. I think you have a right to know exactly what I think on a topic or an issue, and that's why I call it out for what it is. But the Australian people now, I think, are finally waking up and understanding that we can't just sit back and be apathetic. I get so frustrated about people who don't know who they're voting for, why they're voting for them, or they put their head down. Oh, I love that people come up and say to me, look, I really support you, but I don't really agree with everything that you say. So curious me, I want to know what policy, maybe I can improve it. So I say, well, what policy don't you agree with? Well, I can't think of it now. Oh, really? I can't tell you which one, but I don't agree with it. You know, you're the people, and I'm one of you. Okay, I haven't forgotten my grassroots. I'm not going to be an Albanese that says, oh, I grew up in House Commission. So what, mate? Okay, you had a roof over your head. You know, don't make out just because you're in the House Commission you did it bloody tough. You know, he went to university, he's never had a real job in the real world, and he's Prime Minister. Good on you, mate. No problem. But, you know, I'm not going to stand here and tell you about my life where I've been, you know, done it tough, and that type of thing, which I have. I'll just tell you one thing. I've never forgotten being a 21-year-old mother with 2 children, the youngest one at 6 months, and trying to put a roof over my head with my 2 children when my husband took off and left me. So these are things that I've never forgotten, what it is to be tough. But I don't speak about it every 5 minutes to get the sympathy of the people. That's not what it's about. But I reflect that in my policies and how I deal with the cost of living, how people are struggling, the homeless that are out there. That's what I know. I never forget that. No one owes me anything. But the system that we have in Australia is about to support those who need that helping hand, not make it a way of life. And that's a problem with both these governments. Both of these governments, they are both responsible for it. From such a country that we lived on the ship's back and all the prosperity and everything was out there for us, now it's like, what is in it for me? How much money can I get? Live on a welfare system. These people are now getting 4th generation on the welfare system. There's no need to go out and work. Well, the fact is, you know, the NDIS has just been a complete scam and it's taken away from the people that really need that helping hand. And, you know, I just don't see where they're going with it. What happens is they give these handouts, more benefits, rent assistance, healthcare, all the rest of it. So those people that are on welfare, they're making their life as easier. They don't have to travel in the traffic, go and try and do a hard day's work to provide for the family when the neighbour goes next door. And I'll tell you this one. The neighbour, this woman said to me, she said, I get really fed up with these people on welfare. I get in my car in the morning. Anyway, the fellow next door is sitting on his front deck, having his cup of tea. And she said, and he calls out, see you, love, have a nice day. And she said, all right, okay, no worries. And she said, I go to work through the traffic, I do my day's work and I come home. And he's sitting there still on his deck and he's having his beer. And he says, how you going, love? Did you have a good day? Yeah, mate, really good. And she said, It just really makes me so mad that my taxes are going to pay for this. You know what my policy is? And I've run it past the Liberal Party. 2 years welfare out of 5. Yeah. You work the rest of the 3. So it's there as a helping hand. It's not going to be a lifestyle, it will be a helping hand. But you know what? They haven't got the guts to do it because they believe in these people for their vote. And if you change it, then these people are actually going to not vote for them. So we have to change the way of thinking. We have to change where we want to head as a country. And, you know, when I see this country, industries, manufacturing closed down with the cost of electricity, then we have the farming sector being destroyed because they want to get rid of the farmers. Possibly it's best these farmers are gone, but they want to stay in their properties, but they'll put up some wind turbines and they'll put up solar panels on their farms, which will pay them, and the farmers are doing it purely because they've can keep their farm just to survive. You can clear a paddock for solar, but you can't clear a paddock for farming. We are a big nation. We can produce food for the rest of the world. We have become a net importer of food for fish and other products in this nation. Did you know that? So, you know, when the fisherman was up there today talking about it, that is the case. We are shutting down our own fisheries, yet we allow these super trawlers to come in here and just take all the fish out of our oceans. It is an absolute disgrace what is happening. And I take my hat off to you, the people today that turned up to this rally, and to Martine. Thank you for doing that rally, because it is. You know, just an individual, you take the step. Or to Alex. Alex, I take my hat off to you, sweetheart, because you know what? She said she was nervous today. And as I said to Alex before, I said, mate, you've done a great job. If I could tell you how my knees shook in that parliament when I delivered my first maiden speech. I came out of my fish and chip shop. I had media, national media, and I had to stand my ground. I had no support. I had no political party. I was a complete independent person. And what I went through, and it takes bloody guts to get up and do it. Don't you ever give up. Don't you ever give up. You stand your ground and you keep quoting your facts and figures, because this is what the people want to hear. They want to know the truth. And it's only waking up. And I remember when I actually became a Liberal Party member, I went to my first meeting, and I remember John Moore. Remember John Moore, Shadow Minister, at the meeting for the candidates? He said, sit down, shut up, you know nothing, we know everything. And that was the attitude. That was going, well, I didn't sit down, I didn't shut up, and therefore it was from Howard that I had to go, because I was calling for equality for all Australians. Let me make it quite clear. I was questioning the Aboriginal industry, and I was sick and tired of them getting benefits based on their race, not based on their needs. And I have not changed that at all. I see us being divided as a nation, whites against the blacks, and that's not on. I see the racial division that is happening, and that was proven in The Voice. That is not on. I see them pushing for us to have a nation within a nation. That is not on. And that's where we have to, go against this. This is racial division that is happening. And these young ones, what have been taught in school. Well, I tell you what, if I have got control in Queensland, next Queensland state election, I've told James Ashby, there's been no more of this teaching Aboriginal dialect in the schools, which will get kids absolutely nowhere when our kids can't read or speak English properly. That needs to go. Welcome to country, no more welcome to country. I do not do welcome to country. When it's done for a parliament, I turn my back on it. I'm the only one that turns their back on it. It's not bringing us together. There's so many issues. You might think I'm controversial. Someone raised about the fact, oh, you wore the burqa in Parliament. Do you know why I did that? It wasn't about why I wore the burqa was to prove a point. There is no dress code in the Parliament. You can wear whatever you want to. So if we ever get a Muslim elected to Parliament, walks in that Parliament with the burqa on, that's the whole democracy of what Australia is all about. That's why I wanted to set it. And guess what? The weak-livered bastards have not changed the dress sense, and they wouldn't even, oppose the full face covering. Full face covering, you vote in Parliament based on your facial recognition. That's why I wanted to make a point that you can't just wear anything in Parliament. So I had a reason why I do things. I don't go out there just because I want to be in the limelight. That's not me. If anything, I'm a person who wants to sit at the back of the room. That's who I am. That's what's behind me. But because I was given an opportunity, if you told me as a kid and my parents told me where I was going to be and such a well-known Australian, I would have said no way in the wide world. But the whole fact is, I've been given this opportunity to have a voice. I've been fortunate enough to have the people of Queensland vote me in to be their representative. and I just respect that so much. And do you think I'm going to give up my morals, my values, what I stand for, because I'm curtailed by these people who don't put a roof over my head or pay my bills? My conscience will be clear when I'm finished my time in Parliament, that I know that I've tried to do the best that I possibly can in my values, my principles and my morals. And that's why I'm important to you. I might be who I am, and I might be a senator in the federal parliament, but each and every one of you can be within you a Pauline Hanson with that voice. And do not be curtailed. Do not stand down to anyone. You have the right to have an opinion. That's why we have the veterans and those Anzacs, and everyone fought for our freedom and their freedom of speech. And they're trying to take that away from us and not allow them to do that. And just to get, yes, it is the Anzac spirit. And the whole fact is, our democracy is so precious. A lot of other countries don't have it. We have that right, and the right to vote. So when you come to vote, understand your voting system. I'll be putting out more information so you, the people, understand the voting system. Don't think that I direct the votes. Don't think that I actually have control of where the preferences go. When it comes to filling out your whole thing, what political parties put out is only a recommendation. You, the voter, as I said to you, you put your first choice, and I'll tell you, vote One Nation. If we don't get up, then your vote will flow to your second best choice. And then if they don't get up, it goes to your third best choice. So really think about it. You own the vote, not the political parties. So if I put Greens last, I've got a bloody good reason to put them last. And I put Labor. So that's my recommendation. So what I might do, if you want to, I'll take about 3 questions. If there's a topic or an issue that you want me to explain, if I can, I'll be quite happy to. Right, all the hands are going up if somebody will do this. Right, the gentleman here.
Yeah, I'd like to just mention about the immigration. How many millions of people coming under immigration, and they're probably all going to vote for, who knows.
All right, the gentleman's just asked about the immigration. This Labor Party's gone absolutely mad on 37,000 people that came into the country. Prior to that, it was around about, under the coalition, about 190,000 a year. They had it at 260,000. I complained about it. They dropped it around about 190,000. On top of that, you've got also about 735,000 students, foreign students, are in the country. So with that 737,000 migrants into the country, only 51,605 actually were workers that were employed for the skilled migrants. Of that, only 1,800 were actually of the building trade. So therefore, they were talking about bringing migrants in the country for the skills and work. It's an absolute lie. They bring them in to prop up the economy because of the GDP, all right? So we can't sustain that. That is unsustainable. We've got about 650,000 houses we're short for housing in Australia. That's why we're the accommodation. Here in Western Australia, I think you're down to about 0.5% at rental accommodation that's available. It's around about the same right across the whole country, and people and the cost of housing gone up. My attitude is cut your immigration right back to net zero. The number of people leave the country, bring in that many. Don't stop it, but until we in a managed way that people have housing, we don't have people living in tents and on the streets. That's my main aim, is that we have to look after the people here. I don't worry about other people overseas. That's not my problem. I'm a member for the people of Australia. Do we think we'll ever have equal rights for white Australians? The way it's going now at the moment, it concerns me greatly. The woke agenda that they have, and now when you do an education, if you're learning psychology, and I read it up, that basically they have to apologise for the fact is that they're white, and it's in their education. So the whole fact is, stand your ground, you're white, you're proud of it, and as I said to them, you know, I wore that shirt, and you know, I put up the notice of motion in Parliament, it's okay to be white. So anyway, but I nearly lost it, really, honestly, and I wedged the Liberal coalition that they had to support it because they would have seen as it's too far to the left. So anyway, this is what I do all the time. I put pressure on the Liberal National Party and I show them up for what they are. Gentlemen here. Oh, you've written this all out, have you?
What do you think Australia should be doing? Do you have any part of Australia in this introduction?
Climate change
Right. What should we do about climate change and about nuclear? I've made it quite clear, and I said it years ago, we've got to head down the path of nuclear. I know only 54% of Australians are supportive of nuclear at the moment, but you can't have it both ways. If you want a clean environment, then we need to look down that path. Wind and solar won't cut it. Wind and solar farms only produce between 19 to 30% of our power. The rest of the time comes from gas and coal, which presents about 70% of our power needs that we have at the moment. So they don't cut it. To have the technology, to think that you have the batteries, they don't have batteries now. 6 minutes, that's all they'll last for it. There's a big scam going on at the moment. All those people that have put in their solar power panels, you could actually get paid for it going back into the grid. Now they've reduced it back in Queensland, you can only put so much into the grid, and they don't want you supplying the power into the grid. There's another thing too, it's called 5-minute power. So when buyback. So at the end of the day, the wind and solar, mostly South Australia runs on wind and solar. There's 5-minute increments that they pay for it. So when there's a great demand on the power supply, these companies actually bid for that power. Did you know that? They bid for the power. So anyway, that power is driven up because wind and solar don't get paid for their power. Okay, that's out of the question. So when they have to boost their power through either coal-fired power stations or gas, that's when it clicks in and they pay for that power. Whatever they get paid, solar and wind, they're getting paid it as well. So they're paying for this as well. So you, the consumer, even though you're getting the power supply, you're paying for it through this supply. It's such a scam that's going on at the moment. You have to understand there's a lot of people making a lot of money out of it. And in the last 10 years, there's been $29 billion that's gone into the subsidies for renewables. That's what the government has been paying. So a lot of these people are making money out of it and at your expense. So we've got to go nuclear. Okay, right. And that was the last question. So what I'm told to wrap up. Okay, you better make it a worthwhile question.
Thank you, Pauline, for coming down here. Thank you so much. Much gratitude. My question, I'm quite a controversial woman as well, and I'm a mother as well of 6 children. Like yourself, you're a mother. A lot of this movement for the last 4 to 5 years publicly has been about the children first. It's all right. It's all right, come on. When are we going to... Come on. Being a survivor of sexual abuse from the ages of 7 to 14, when are we going to have more freedom and more public acknowledgement of the 28 high-profile names, high-profile Australian names for pedophilia that have been covered up in the Heffernan-Wood Commission?
Good question.
That's been raised with me a lot about the pedophilia that's happening. People say do something about it. I have not seen the names. I've spoken to Bill Heffernan personally about it, and where do we go from here? Yeah, no, I'm just explaining to you because it's raised with me. And I said, they said, well, do something about it. And I said, well, what do you want me to do? What would you like me to do? What names have you got? No one's produced the documentation to me. And if you think I'm going to go out there and say something about this, unless I have the information, I'm not going to. I will be crucified. Give me the information, I will fight for you. I know nothing about these names. No one's produced it to me. Yeah, I know, but I can't do anything unless I have some names, and I have the proof. And it's still happening now, and a lot of this, and I've called the Dissent Price and the Royal Commission into the sexual abuse of the Aboriginal children. That's another thing that's happened in this country. No one does anything about it. They shut their doors to it. But we can't, yes or no? Correct. We try to work for the people. I've been put out things there over the past and I've got criticised for it. And the whole fact is for my survival and not to be criticised, pulled down by the major political parties and everyone else, if I'm going to do anything, give me the evidence and I know what I'm talking about, based on fact, not on just all innuendos. And that's what I need to do. So I've got no problem about it. I won't back away from anything, but give me the facts. Right? Okay, right. Once again, thank you very much. I hope I've answered your questions. Please be assured, you know, there's a lot more Pauline Hansons out there. They're not redhead like this. They look like this fellow here, but they're dedicated, loyal, and I'm sure. Because I tell you what, those people have been elected under my name, have not done the job. I've got rid of them, right? I'm not frightened to get rid of them. And they have to be there for the people. It's not about just for the political party, it's about there for the people. Thank you.